Hello friends, Cowboy Jobu here with the Jobu Sports Report, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report, because without you guys, this would be nothing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on the picture of me and my buddy, Sean Lee, so that way you can help spread the mojo. Well, we all know by now that Jerry Jones thinks that marijuana should no longer be tested in the NFL. So we know Stephen A. Smith will definitely be coming back, because that is one of his keynote things against the Dallas Cowboys. In fact, he accused the Dallas Cowboy locker room being full of marijuana. Let's go to the tape.
Call it trying to find the right way to do the wrong things. But according to Pro Football Talk, not Jerry Jones, who had a private meeting among owners in Phoenix last week, addressed quite a few issues he wants resolved, one of which was urging the NFL to lift the ban on marijuana. Now, keep in mind, recreational marijuana is currently legal in 8 states and the District of Columbia. Stephen A., do you agree with Jerry's stance on marijuana?
Not at all, but I completely and totally understand why he would want it that way. I mean, when you could just mention the names, the Rolando McClains of the world, the Randy Gregory's of the world. There are a few others on that list, but I'm in a good mood and I don't want to call out anybody. I don't want to rake their names through the coals. But in the end, what this comes down to is very, very simple. What Jerry Jones is trying to do is to minimize the negative impact of marijuana use, because Jerry Jones knows that it's probably prevalent to some degree in this locker room. That's right, I said it. Okay, I don't know this for a fact. I'm not in the locker room. I'm certainly not the one, the official for the NFL testing anybody. But you know, Dallas is like the South version of Texas, of Vegas. What happens in Dallas, Texas, when they would like to stay in Dallas, Texas. They don't want anybody knowing about that other kind of stuff. Jerry Jones wants dudes eligible. And if you want to puff and pass and go out there and pass rush or run the football or throw it or whatever the case may be, I mean, Jerry Jones clearly doesn't have a problem with it. I mean, think about this. Let's put it in its proper perspective. And again, not to call anybody out, but there's a dude by the name of Ezekiel Elliott. Star running back. Big-time rookie running back. Started at Ohio State, where I had the pleasure of speaking to nearly 2,000 students the other day. Okay? They love themselves some Ezekiel Elliott. He's a rookie. Is he not? So when you sit up there and you're walking to the NFL, don't you think it would behoove you, Max Kellerman, to sit up there and say, well, you know what, let me toe the line. Let me, roll out here and, make sure I... Roll? No, meaning... I'm sorry.
Don't get excited.
You said roll up here. You said roll out?
Roll out here and just do my job. What does he do? What did he go visit in Seattle? What did he go visit in Seattle a few months ago?
A weed dispensary.
A weed dispensary. So this is that. Now, obviously...
It's a research trip.
Oh, it's a research trip. So you're researching weed, playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Evidently, Jerry Jones doesn't have a problem with it, because Jerry Jones letting everybody know he's going to explore and use his considerable clout to legalize it.
It wasn't just
I understand.
Weed. It wasn't just the weed. It was off-field issues. He doesn't want this extrajudicial process in the NFL where they also,
trying to be nice.
Investigate off-field issues.
Yep. That's right.
That was another thing.
Right. So you don't want any off-field investigation, and you don't want the weed either.
Yeah.
Your question is it principled or self-interested? The answer is obviously motivated by self-interest here, because the Dallas Cowboys in particular seem to have a lot of off-field issues and weed issues. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those two things are related. So it is self-interested, but it's nice when self-interest dovetails with principles, because the idea that the league still tests for weed is an outrage. It's not just that it's wrong, it's that it's outrageous. Mm-hmm. There are lots of things that are illegal that the league doesn't test for. Lots of stuff. For example, and lots of dangerous stuff that's also illegal that the league doesn't suspend for. For example, what's more dangerous and what causes more societal harm? Speeding or marijuana? The answer is speeding by far. Do they look into everyone's speeding tickets and suspend them for the team?
Actually, texting and driving's the worst.
Right, but I'm just talking about speeding. That's really dangerous.
Texas,
I'm just saying,
better than ever.
If you break the speed limit, you have broken the law. You have done something dangerous, more dangerous than marijuana. And by the way, unlike speeding, marijuana is fully legal recreationally in 8 states, and it's legal for medicinal use in more states than that.
Speeding isn't legal anywhere.
It's criminalized. But if you exceed the speed limit anywhere, that's illegal. Does the league look into all your speeding tickets and then suspend you for them? Of course not. You know why? It would be idiotic. But less idiotic than testing for weed and then suspending players for it.
Okay, fair enough. Because he's Max Kellerman. First of all, I have no problem with weed used for medicinal purposes. Let me be very, very clear. I mean, you know, it's had a profound positive impact on some folks for medicinal purposes. I'm a total supporter of that. I am only speaking about weed as a recreational activity, and all I'm
God forbid they should have fun with it.
That's right.
Only make them as medicine, but not if anyone just wants to.
I would like to
have some recreational.
I would like to remind you, a player who will remain nameless, and no, it was not Allen Iverson. I'm covering the 76ers years ago, and this dude walks to the scorer's table to check into the game, and Larry Brown said, "3 down, 3 down," and the dude went, literally. I'm talking about the media, myself, my God rest his soul, my man Phil Jabs up in the Philadelphia Daily News and others, John Smallwood and the crew. We're all sitting there, the dude rocking back and forth off of weed.
One guy who abused it?
I'm just giving you one example. Come on now. You really think I only have one example?
Is alcohol a bigger problem or is marijuana a bigger problem?
I totally agree with you about the alcohol, which is why I told you.
You want him to test for alcohol?
Time out. Which is why I told you I've been on the record saying I'm an advocate of getting rid of all of that stuff. I understand it. But what I'm saying to you is this. It goes a step deeper. And this is where it gets deep for me.
Who are you, J. Edgar Hoover? What do you mean, like, what?
What do you mean?
I don't understand.
J. Edgar Hoover, by the way, is the former director of the FBI.
Yes.
Because you assume people know that, and they don't. But go ahead.
You want modern prohibition on not only marijuana, but also alcohol?
It's not prohibition. What I'm saying to you is this. You're in the league. You're playing. It's a private industry. You have kids walking around. You have to interact with the public and things of that nature. If the league does not want you doing it, they have a right to tell you that. And you, as an adult who was on a come up from nothing, you're going to sit up there and let this blow millions. I ask you a question, Max Kellerman. Have you ever seen a joint worth $10 million?
Nope.
Thank you very much. And last time I checked, are you a capitalist?
Sure.
Do you care about that means you care about your money. If I sat up there,
I think even the communists care about their money.
There you go. So my point to you is very, very simple. I'm not talking about whether it's right or wrong. I'm saying to you, if the league say this is not what we want associated with our product,
how do you regulate?
That is a way to hide behind the issue and not really deal with the issue.
Okay.
Because you always put instead of questioning the premise upon which the issue is based, you go right to the reality that it may be this way for some. In other words, some in the league may say that we're going to test for it, and therefore, once you know the consequences, how dare you keep smoking marijuana? If you want to argue that someone who continues to smoke weed in a league that's going to penalize you to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, if you want to argue that that person's addicted, has a problem, we agree.
I have a question.
That's not the problem.
I have a question. On several occasions, correct me if I'm wrong, Molly Wood, several occasions this year, you've been on the air, and you talked about your children.
Yes.
Wonderful dad. Love your 3 beautiful girls.
Thank you very much.
They're beautiful. I get it. Yes. Okay. You're on national television. They probably watching Daddy. You cool with sitting there saying on national television, you know what? What's wrong with using some weed?
Right. No, what I would tell, and what I do tell, and what I will tell my daughters is vice is best to stay away from. Not only that, moderation is also a very good idea, even as it relates to vice. What you're talking about is not moderation of recreational use. You're picking out examples of abuse of a recreational drug, and then saying because some abuse exists, it should be prohibited.
But it's not just that. What I'm also pointing to, Max, is I'm just diametrically opposed to advertising the fact that, you know what, we don't care whether you use weed or not. Now, you can make the test a bit more difficult, you know, in other words, you know, the positive test, because the threshold is larger in the NBA and other leagues than it is for the NFL, because I think it's at like 50 milliliters, whereas in the National Football League is like at 35 or something. I get that. What I'm saying is this, to advertise, look, we're just not going to have a marijuana policy. I think that's bad for sports. I think that's bad for America.
We agree that the threshold is, you would like to lower the threshold, or rather raise it. In other words, you're saying marijuana is no good, alcohol is no good, speeding is no good, etc.
Well, I never say speeding is
but the fact is, speeding is more dangerous. So what you would like the league to do is to continue to double down on the mistake of stigmatizing marijuana out of proportion with the actual societal dangers. You want to continue to stigmatize it out of proportion rather than properly place it in the context of societal ills, which include many things, some legal, some illegal, but you want to raise that to...
That's right, because I think at some point in time, we're a bit too lenient instead of reeling stuff in. It's not this anything goes. This ain't the Wild Wild West. And I'm telling you right now, as a dude from the hood, I've seen too much going on, and I've seen too much covering sports for over 20 years the way that I've covered. I don't think there should be rules that are more lax and encourages more usage. I don't believe that. I just don't.
The absence of the rule doesn't suggest that it encourages use.
Okay.
Let's leave it there. We have another example.
It a go done.